Hey everyone, welcome back to Taking Back Monday. I am so excited you decided to join us and say goodbye to the Sunday scaries and hello to some meaningful work. And I am so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Greg, who is joining us on the podcast today.
It's so great to be here.
So Greg, let's talk a little bit about, how we met, how we got connected. We had a mutual friend and former Taking Back Mondayer who appeared on the show, Rob, who really set us up and connected us.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better and more aligned with my ethos, where it's like life is about time and relationships. So it's like, all right, I talked to Rob, literally talked to him before we spoke here, right? And yeah, he was like, you should talk to this girl. And I'm like, that's literally how it is. You have a conversation. You have no clue where that conversation is going to take you. And that's really how I live a lot of my life.
Yeah, so I was kind of perusing your LinkedIn to get ready for today's conversation. And one of the things that you had posted about that really struck me was about, life is a series of conversations, one conversation at a time, and you never know where that conversation is going to take you. So tell me a little bit more about that mindset.
I mean, let's go back to the start. Like, we don't know. So anyone that's listening here, like, you have no clue. Like, that's what I love about podcasting. It's like, you and I are having a conversation, but anyone right now that's listening to this, like, you have no clue who's going to ping you going like, I really love that episode. And you're like, I don't even know who this person is, but I'm amazing that they're now listening to my show and that they've engaged with me. Like, you don't know where that conversation is going to take you. So have those conversations. And being in a revenue role most of my career, it's like, I've always thought about that. It's like, whatever I'm quote unquote selling, I'm really selling myself. And at the core of that, if we start thinking about, it goes back to my marketing classes in college and my business school, right? It's like, we always are selling each other. We're always marketing, like how you look and how you appear, like that's marketing 101, and how you approach, like that's sales, right? So like, if you think about those, at the end of the day, it's like, you want to create an environment that the person, at least this is what I've always I'm like, who could I go grab a beer with? Like, let's go row culture in that regards. Like, who would I sit down and have a beer with or a drink with, if drinking culture, right? Like, I want to be, you've got the analogy, like, if you're stuck in an elevator with someone, like, could you have a conversation? Like, I always think about those things. My girlfriend makes fun of me because I'll make friends with my Uber drivers. Like, you don't know who these people are until you start talking to them, and everyone's got a story, whether you're in a grumpy mood or not. So I think it's our job to really like have those conversations, see where it takes you, take the blindfold and the mask off, going like, let's just talk. I don't know where this is going to go, but if we have a conversation, you and I have had a conversation. So like, it led to this, which brought us because of Rob. So like, you don't know where this is going to take you. So have it.
I think it's one of those things too, that there's been a real evolution in the approach to this kind of conversation, right? Because I would say it took a while for influencer marketing to really take hold in the more traditional like B2B business world. Because we see that like they're selling products, they're selling makeup, they're selling clothes, whatever. But now we're seeing a lot more emphasis on the personal brand of your CEO and where your personal brand might matter more than your company's brand. Have you had any experience with that?
I mean, Rob showed me statistics and I read his book, right? So I saw the statistics there of like companies get funded more because of the brand that their founder is. I mean, so yeah, you definitely see that, but it goes to, if I look at my career, like I started my career with Yahoo. I had 5 CEOs in 5.5 years. After the 5th CEO, and I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, you guys haven't figured out the rally cry, like just the turnover. And so it's like, you can love a company, but when you see the leadership is turning over at the rate it did, you're like, I don't know what I'm following. I don't know what I'm doing. Great, I'm gone. And that was kind of the pinnacle in that regard. So yeah, you follow your leader. And I think it's not just the leader from the top, but like, you want to have a good leader as your manager instead of the boss, right? Yeah. So if your boss is creating a podcast and they're creating a brand out there and you're like, what you're putting out is not who I see in the office, people sniff that out. At least I do. I mean, I've had bosses where others don't sniff that out. And you're like, how is no one sniffing this out? But like, I think that's also just the nature of certain people. So yes, I definitely believe building your brand is key, but having an authentic brand and people will feel that or recognize that. And I think it's also, what do you want to attract? So those people that don't attract what I would consider authentic, they're not my people. And that's okay. I could be bitter. I could be upset. Like, how is this person succeeding? Like, they're inauthentic. It's like, no, we got to focus on yourself and have that conversation with yourself.
There's so much to unpack in what you said. And I'm sitting here like thinking to myself, okay, I want my brand of my podcast to be Taking Back Monday. And we're taking back, you know, the experiences, the bad experiences people are having and trying to build really positive culture. And then my immediate reaction is to go, okay, let's detail out and have a nightmare about all the times that I made a mistake as a leader and that I screwed up and that I didn't live up to, you know, the ideal that I'm creating here. You know, when you're thinking about your authentic brand and you're still finding your voice as you're kind of growing up, if you will, how can someone really tease out what's an authentic brand to them and what's an ideal brand? How do people go about doing that?
I think therapy helps. So there's a good introspection that people are doing as opposed to, I mean, I just watched this Sly Stallone documentary last night, and what drove him, and now as he's looking back in his 60s or 70s and reflecting on that, it's like, oh, it took a moment to like realize these things. So in our 20s, I mean, who I was in my 20s and who I'm in my 40s, like, it's hard to have that moment. It's like driven by money versus now driven by authenticity, driven by not knowing therapy and mental health and now having that, right? So I think a lot of that is the introspection that a person's willing to do and should do. And I think we still have a working environment where we have a lot of bosses and less leaders, where it's like they are able to go like, hold on, I have empathy. I am not so focused on what is the task at hand? How do I accomplish this? What is a perfectionist mindset? I think we still have that balance in the workplace between some who are, I care more about other things than whatever it is you're caring. And that also goes to our leadership piece. I still think there's a missing component where we're not having the conversations. What do you care about? What matters to you? It's more of a matter of, matters to me as your boss, therefore it should matter to you. And it's like, it's really not going to create that. So you start having that sniff test of like, hold on, you're not authentic. You are so business mindset. You are so driven by X. I can see that, but you're missing the human connection. And that is where you have to understand, like, there is a human. And I think LinkedIn, that's where my content lives, is it's moved into the route of maybe Instagram. Or like, why are people posting some of the stuff that I'd see on Instagram? Or why are we seeing some of these personal stories? But it's like, because if all you saw from a person posting is, look at me, what I've done wrong, or look at me, what I've done right, or here's my business profile of whatever I've got. Like, who is the real you? Do I understand who you are? And as Rob says, people want to work from people that they know, like, and trust, right? So I think you've got to start putting those lenses on all of that component.
I do think you can go a little too far, though, because I saw a post a couple of months ago that was literally something like, I married my high school sweetheart on the beach yesterday, and here's what it taught me about business-to-business sales. And I'm like, no, not everything needs to be a metaphor for the product that you're hawking. Like, you can just say, hey, you know what's cool about my life? I married my high school sweetheart yesterday on the beach. She's great. She's so supportive of my career. I'll be gone for a few weeks. Talk to you guys later after we get back from our honeymoon. Yeah. Right. But like that cringiness where you have to turn every life milestone that people might click on and celebrate into like a sales pitch. I just got the immediate ick from that post.
I know exactly the post that you're describing here. And I'm like,
we probably saw the same one. I was like, what?
But no, I have the same thing. And I'm like, all right, why? And it's probably a novel. And I'm like,
right. Right.
Why did I click on this? I feel
Mm-hmm.
so duped, but I support you. But like your normal
But it
content's
feels
good, but
icky.
it feels
Yeah.
icky.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer right now. I feel like there's some posts on LinkedIn that I'm like, if I need to paste it into ChatGPT to summarize the key points for me, then like your post is too long. Like you've got too much stuff packed in there. The attention span, I'm just as bad as a Gen Zer. Like my attention span is garbage. And if I have to like get the key points from ChatGPT, you've done too much.
Yeah, I get you. I feel it. Um, I guess that goes from brand building, like what
Yeah.
feels authentic, who are we trying to model ourselves off of?
Mm-hmm.
The you could take someone's piece of content and go, ooh, I like how they wrote this. I want my thoughts to be in their style because it's
Yeah.
succinct. It came like there's ways to do this now, which makes brand building a lot easier for those of us who are like, it feels weird to share what I'm sharing. How do I do this? But I think we
Yeah.
should be doing that.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Especially in sales, I heard a comparison a couple of years ago that was basically like, if you wouldn't do it at a bar when you're trying to like meet someone for a date or like get to know someone, then you shouldn't do it in sales. Like, could you imagine if I walked into a bar and I said, "Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa Nolte and I am incredible and you want what I have." Right? Like that kind of attitude of standing up and putting yourself in the center of the room rather than building a genuine connection with someone human to human, instead of just being a walking billboard. Like, how do we take that into sales and take that into social?
I think, ooh, that's a good one. I think that's actually each individual person. And in some regards, it's, there's projection in there, right? So like if you see the person, let's picture flashy guy, dressed nice, he's got his car, right? Your stereotypical, like some of us would be like, what a D-bag, right?
Right, right. He's the guy I would kind of whisper about and make fun of at the corner of the bar, right?
But there's
The one
still
who I'm like, stay away.
but there's
Yeah,
still a person, male, who are like, I want to be that. There's a
right.
female who's like, I love that energy. So with 8 billion people, you're going to attract what you're going to attract and you're going to put
Yeah,
off whatever it is. And I think you have to understand that. Person who's got the cringeworthy post about that, you and I are going like, facepalm,
right.
no. Another person's going like, yes, I like that. That's the vibe I want. And I think
Yeah,
that becomes understanding your buyer more. I mean, I say this all the time, like, I am fueled by money, yes, but I also don't want to do business with people that just make me feel that don't give me the good
mm-hmm.
feeling, right? I want to go and talk to the person who I could sit in a bar and like, you are a good person. I want to do this. There's another seller out there who's probably going like, money's money. I will suck it up. I'll figure out how to deal with this kind of person. Good for them. I can't do that. And so there's so many different personality bases out there. I think at the core, that's where human connection becomes interesting. What you
Mm-hmm.
attract, like attracts like, and so forth. But for me, I will just continue to put out that authentic component and understand life is about time and relationships. I don't know you. I don't know what I'm selling besides myself right now.
Well, and so you're telling me, and I'm so disappointed to hear this, that there's no copy and paste blueprint. I can't just like pick up a user manual and, become an incredible salesman and influencer and be so super successful simply because I copied and pasted someone else's approach.
No,
Is
you
that what you're telling me?
could. You could. You just have to
Yeah.
figure out what approach you want to model and find out from that person, are they successful?
Yeah. True.
Right? Like maybe someone's going to go like, Greg, are you successful with the model you are following right now? In my mind, I am. Another person's mind, they're like, nope, you're not successful enough for what I want. So I'm not going to model myself off of you. I'm going to go model myself off of the flashy guy with the car, right? Like, so yeah, there is in a sense, we are all similar enough. While we all consider ourselves unique, like there are components that attract likeness. And that is what I want to be. I'm going to change myself. I mean, I read, what was it? Lewis Howell's book, Mask of Masculinity. And it's like, you've got the 9 different masks there. It's like, what mask are you putting on? Who are you modeling yourself off of? What persona are you modeling yourself off of? Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I love that. So one of the things that you're known for is really building vibrant communities. Tell us a little bit more about how you kind of became a thought leader in that community building space.
That goes back to life is about time and relationships. So if I have the lens of tell me about yourself, I don't know what I don't know. And then I go talk to another person going like, oh, these people should probably talk. Takes me back to the childhood days, but at the core of it, it's like good people meet good people. I think, and I know and like you, and you have something of value that I think this other person. How do I connect them? My job is to create that connection, have the conversations, create the connection. And then my job is also to do a good job on the introduction. Nothing's worse than a bad intro,
so important.
right?
Yeah.
I'm going like, oh, let's go Rob example here. Rob introduced us and going like, Greg, me and Alyssa meet Greg. I think you guys should talk and go. I don't know about you, but my reaction would be like, I trust Rob, so he clearly has a reason for us to talk, but like, why? What am I supposed to be talking to you about? I don't know. That becomes then a superpower of like, it spends a little more time to write that email that costs my time, but creates a better connection, creates better value. People aren't doing that. So think about that with your outreach emails, with your internal emails, with better communication just overall. My therapist says like, we're lazy and we have negative bias, right? Yeah. So if we spend a little more time, we can overcome some of the issues that we're probably having in miscommunication. So for me, creating a vibrant community is literally just building a network, understanding who those people are in your network, and then finding the webs that you can connect them. Because in sales and marketing and life, you have these connections. You don't know where these connections come into play, but you can start creating those for other people. And that builds your equity, that builds the brand, but that also helps fuel business as a whole.
Well, let's segue into that, right? Because if I'm, at the end of the day, this is a business podcast targeted towards business leaders. We don't have a community yet, and we want to invest in one. Well, what's in it for me as a business leader? Like, what do I get out of making that connection besides feeling good?
Oh my God. Okay, let's unpack that one. Why should you have a business community as a leader? First off, you're having these conversations. If I look at how many episodes you have, that's how many guests that have been on your show. We're coming on your show for some value.
Right.
That your audience probably finds. So like, wouldn't it be smart, besides Rob and I knowing each other, to create a, hey, you've all been on my show. You all have something of value to say about whatever it is your show particularly is. Like you said, business leaders in that regards, like bring us all together. Now, yes, I have so much going on in my life. Well, am I going to be able to spend more time in this community? Probably not. But your reason for creating that community is not to stay there, live there. This is your living, breathing. It's like I'm creating this safe space for people that have been on my show. I can start sharing other business ideas. And if you do a good job on introducing us, like, hey, here's Greg. He was just on my show. This is his superpower. This is what he does. Greg, please introduce yourself. And you give me a format of why am I introducing myself. Then it's your job to like, oh, how do I connect these people? Like, that's what I do with my communities. It's like, you tell me, I know most of us are lazy. I'll introduce myself and then I've moved on. But it's the community leader's job to go like, hold on, I got to bring back the person who introduced themselves 3 months ago, who's probably not living in my community, but they introduced themselves, and pair them together. And what's in it for you? You're like, oh, I want to be part of Alyssa's community. I want to be on a guest on a show. I am getting value. She's creating value. And at the end of the day, what's in it for you? You're creating value. And that value then comes back to, all right, she's creating this value. What other value could this business help me with? Instead of trying to just sell my product, they're creating value and answering the problems I have, whether it's a personal one, whether it's a conference I should be attending, who knows? But it goes back to my core. Create the conversations. You don't know where those conversations going to go. Create the introductions, let the conversations unfold. Maybe your reason, blinders of creating the connections is not really what the connection was supposed to be. So if you just create it, blinders off, no hands, I don't know where it's going, you're good to go. That's why you create community. It's not just a community on LinkedIn. And it's like, who's following me there? But it's like, how do I start? And that's why every Monday I post 3 podcasts I think people should listen to. Did yours as well, right? Like, because I want people to know, here are shows, here or why I'm tagging you. Here's other people. Every Tuesday, I'm like, I'm giving. If you've got a job you're hiring for, if you're looking for a job, like, let me give. Let's create those connections. Let's tag, because you don't know who's going to see them. What's the point of having connections if you can't actually leverage them? And you don't know how you're going to leverage them until you use it.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say all of those things, because we were working on our core values for TrueView, which is the company that I'm, I say Taking Back Monday is where I'm talking the talk. TrueView is where I'm walking the walk and trying to live up to my own ideals. And we were doing our core values, and one of our core values was pay it forward, and that we were going to give first and give often and give more than we get as one of our core values, because that's just the nature of the team that I work with. We're mostly Midwesterners, and we have that stereotypical, like, we're going to give you the shirt off our backs kind of approach to work and to life. But, a lot of what you said makes a lot of sense for, like, Taking Back Monday, or like a traditional, like, thought leadership approach, right? But what if I'm just like selling a product? I have a business, or I'm I'm part of a big company. I'm part of a Fortune 100, but I want to start building community. What's the return on investment? How do I convince my VP to let me go do this?
Having just run community for a company that literally built its business around community, it created an entire flywheel. So you bring customers in, you educate them. So what is the return on investment? Your retention, right? So I'm now educating this customer on our product. I'm creating them a space where they can ask questions with other people who probably have that. I say this all the time. Every time I do an onboarding call, I'm like, look, community first. The 4 of you on this call right now are coming in with your own specific use case. But I guarantee you, because I know humans enough, that a question one of you asks is probably going to be thought of by another one of you on this call, but you would never ask that question, whether you are nervous to, you didn't think about that question at that moment, whatever it is. So by creating a community, you're allowing, once again, conversations to happen and unfold. And if you take away I need to control this environment, but just like I'm giving a guise for conversation. So how do I go to my VP and say, hey, we should have a community? It becomes a flywheel. You decrease churn, you increase retention, you're able to upsell if you want to look at it from that standpoint. You can start, this is what I did. It's like you start seeing common themes and common people in your community and going like, hold on, I'm missing out an entire business opportunity that my marketing data wasn't telling me, but my consumers were telling me in my chat. And so you start extrapolating that kind of stuff. And so there's so many other ways that you can start getting the ROI from a community standpoint. But I'm a partnership person. So it also goes towards like, hey, how do you create partnerships? You get 2 people in a room. You're like, what do you do? What do I do? Oh, is there something of value that we help each other? Who is our core user? I have to imagine if you're bringing a community together, they're all a user of your product, but they're users of other products. Yeah. Are those, can you start seeing a common theme of those other products that your partnership team can start going like, hold on, everyone using our product is also using X product. Let's go talk to X product and say, is there an integration? Is there a co-marketing? Is there a webinar that we can do? Like the ROI just continues to find itself. But I'll say this, and this is the first time I'll say it on this, our conversation, but it's truly believed, you play the long game, right? Yeah. So if you're playing the long game, you're creating community for not the short wins now, but it's the long game of where does this take us? No different than building relationships. I'm playing and building the long game because I don't know where these take me. I don't know who I met in my 20s that is valuable for me in this moment in my life in my 40s, right? Like, I don't know those things. Create that community for your company and start unfolding that ROI there.
I think we could probably talk all day. I just feel like that would be us, but we are running out of time. So I have 2 final questions for you. Question number 1, this is your chance to put someone in the hot seat. Who do you know that is really taking back Monday that we should be talking to?
I'd say Joanne Bolt. She has a podcast herself. So there's always the fun part where it's like, oh, let me connect podcasters who can like swap and so forth. But like, I think she's doing a great job and she's helping. She's doing it with a big heart. And I love the way she's doing business.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to be reaching out to Joanne and seeing if there's any good one relationship conversation at a time. But the final question we ask everybody is, if someone is really connecting with you and they want to get in touch, how can they find you online?
Yeah, this is the fun part. And Rob gives me crap about this all the time. It's like, I should have a website. I should, right? I coach podcasters on building a brand, and the brand building I've done is on LinkedIn. So find me on LinkedIn. That's where I live. Reach out, please. Like, let's connect. Let's have a conversation. You don't know what you don't know. And I love sharing my network. So hopefully that helps us all.
Awesome. Well, I will put the link to Greg's profile in the show notes, and I am so looking forward to seeing where this conversation takes us. You never know.
I have a great time every time I talk to you. So thank you so much for bringing me on, and everyone that listened. Like, hopefully you found value in what we had to say.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.